took me a long time to realize as a man, you need to identify when there's things wrong with you and you have to go work on them and make yourself a better person. So when you do meet someone that you have a genuine interest in and you want to actually try to build something with, you have actually something to build from. How do you build from a broken space? It won't hold. You know what I mean? So you got to set your own basement and first floor for yourself as a man, as a woman, as an individual, as an adult. Get you right. And then start. It took me years, obviously, to learn that. But that's why I said it just, sometimes we go, especially men, I think it's worse than women because we go from being broken to being more broken. I was talking about this the other day. Women, they have the luxury of having girlfriends they can call when they're going through with their man. Yo, girl, let me tell you about what's going on. Oh, girl, I got to tell you about Paul. Let me tell you about him. Well, girl, I see you at MCK. Let's have drinks. Right? Mm-hmm. And then they go and they do it. And what's that? That's releasing. That's therapy. Because they have someone to bounce off of. But girl, let me tell you this. And venting and all that you release. Man, we don't have that.
On today's episode of Reality with the King, we are sitting here with a man who does not do interviews, but he's my brother. He is somebody I've known for over 20 years. You all may know him from Love and Hip Hop, but I know him based on the fact that he has been a music impresario for so many years. But today, he is in the building. Give it up for Cisco.
Yeah. Golf clap.
How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you. God is good.
God is good. So you got the glasses on and everything, you know what I'm saying?
You like to do these early morning interviews. I would have given you my eyes at 8 o'clock, man. At 11:30, it's pretty tough.
You had a late night?
Yeah, I'm in the studio every night, man. I work every night. Literally, I go to the studio, and write and produce everything. So, despite leaving at 6 in the morning, shower, change, eat, and we right back on. You know what I mean?
So I want to get into you behind the music first, because before we get into like all of the craziness that's been happening lately, your thirst traps on Instagram.
I would love to talk about that too, because it's not. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
some females in your life that we want to see if there's something to it. Obviously,
or females that people think may be in my lives. So let's just be fair.
Fair.
All right.
Fair. And of course,
and by the way, I don't know who you're talking about. I'm just saying.
No, but you will in about 15 minutes. And then obviously the Love and Hip Hop, presence you had too.
But you will.
But before all of that, talk to me about how did you get your start in the music industry?
I was begging for jobs. I would go to the radio stations and all type of shit. I was like, yo, anybody need work? I just wanted to get in the music business. And eventually I called upon 97 and I begged the guy named Reggie Hawkins, the program director, for a job. And he said, I can't pay you, but you can come work here for free, answer phones and stuff like that, teach you the ropes. And from there I met, Jazzy Joyce, the DJ. She introduced me to Chris Wise, that worked at Atlantic, and then went from there. And Crystal, we left to Def Jam, and I went with Crystal, Dev. So, I literally worked my way from the bottom.
And what were you doing exactly? Was it A&R work?
No, with the radio station, no, I was answering phones and stuff like that. And then, great question. So when people ask me, how did you do it? Coming from where you came from and all the circumstances that I came from, which were pretty dire. You know what I mean? I didn't come from much. But what I said was I always looked at the service I can provide for people that were already there, and fill that void. So, I realized Reggie Hawkins, the program director, he needed help anyway. It was like getting lunches, it was answering phones, and Cisco, just do it. I was like, all right, cool, thank you. And I was always happy to do it, even though people weren't paying me. So then when I met Jazzy Joyce, the DJ at the radio station, she was doing a lot of trouble in the street with guys that were kind of muscling her to play their records in clubs. So I realized she needed security. So I said, hey, I'll come bodyguard you for free if you let me hang out with you every day at these clubs. And I did that to meet someone else who I met, Crystal Isaacs, who also needed an assistant / bodyguard. She was the director at Atlantic Records. And then she hired me from there. And I became her bodyguard and her assistant. And then she taught me marketing, promotions, A&R, and then started giving me jobs working for her at Atlantic. And then when she went to Def Jam, she took me with her. It kind of went from there.
And when you were working with the labels, eventually, what was some of the stuff that you had to do? Were you producing music or?
Yeah, so that was always music was has always been my gift. I just never wanted to showcase that side of my gift because I came from more of a rougher environment, and my guys that were around me all the time, we kept a certain mentality that was real edgy. So for me, I was like, I didn't want to market the gift side of it because that would show weakness. At the time, I thought anyway. That's how I felt. So just make the records. I knew I was a gifted songwriter and music producer. I've been doing it my whole life since I was a kid. Um, and I would get all these amazing opportunities to work with all these big artists and big studios. But I never wanted to highlight that because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use this to get into acting and do TV and film, everything else that played out. So it was about hiding it for a while. Even when I would like get like these big opportunities to work in Jay-Z studio and like have my own little room in there, for like 4 years, I would just have my spot, have my clothes and everything. I was able to work with world-class artists. I didn't want to showcase it. I just wanted to do it. Only me and my people around me knew it, make the music, make some money, go out and still keep my anonymity until TV hit. Mona changed that because Mona came to me for the music for Love and Hip Hop first. That's how that happened.
To like provide music for the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mona's like, I need you to start. And I got this girl, she's a reality star trying to make music. And it became that kind of thing, I'm sure. Because I knew at best I could make them sound decent enough, where they sound okay on a record. You got to be a gifted artist to make gifted music. To be clear, I can't turn water into wine. I can if you give me somebody like Tank or something, you know what I mean? Or somebody that's just truly gifted, then we're going to make something special. But with those girls, the reality girls, the ones that don't really have the talent, you do what you can to make them sound presentable. And she knew I could do that.
Was that Mariah Lynn she had you work with?
I worked with Mariah Lynn eventually later, never musically, but through the show, we shared screen together. So no, that was at the time Tahiri.
Okay.
Tahiri Jose.
Got it.
Yeah, who was on the show before I was. You know what I mean? But then she had like some kind of issue with her boyfriend Joe Buttons, who I also knew because Joe Buttons was managed by Crystal Isaacs, the same woman who gave me the opportunity to work for at Atlantic and Def Jam. At one point, she said, I got this artist named Joe Buttons, just run around with him a little bit, you know what I mean? And I still, I ran around with him a little bit. I remember actually, I'll tell you an interesting story. I got so many of them. I remember running around with Joe and Tahiri at one point, and I helped throw a party for Tahiri because she had just made a cover of some big magazine. It was one of them, I don't remember. She would know. And I forget that day, Joe Buttons comes over to me. He's like, yo, Cisco, you got to get this guy in. He's outside. They don't want to let him in. I'm telling you, listen, I haven't seen Joe or spoke to him in a long time. I don't know what he's doing other than the TV, the radio shit. But I'll give him this. He had a great eye for talent. He comes over to me. I never told the story before. He comes up, he says, yo, Cisco, can you get, because I was the one throwing the party for Tahiri at Club Kane in New York City. I was putting everything together. I was in charge. So Joe said, yo, they got this guy outside. They don't want to let him in, him and his buddies, man, but they dope. This guy is going to be the in a month. He'll be the biggest star in the world. I'm like, all right, who is he? Like, it's like this, his name is Drake. And I went outside and it was Drake, but I didn't know who he was. And they would, he was like a jean outfit and shit. He had some homeboys. And they were like, nah, he can't come in. I said, yo, you got it. And I fought with the guy. Yo, sorry, man, they won't let you in. I go back inside. And then I say about 2 months later, driving down Lower East
So wait,
Side.
but Drake never got in?
Nah, I never got in. That's what I'm trying. I tried.
Because he was Aubrey Graham at the time.
He was fucking whoever he was with a jean outfit and two guys from Canada.
He had a jean jacket?
He had a jean jacket and some fucking jeans. I remember because I'm out there for 15 minutes trying to argue with the door per. You know how New York is. Yo, let him in. I'm Cisco too, so I'm being arrogant because you know. In nightlife, I was that dude back
Greenhouse?
then. Greenhouse, yes. And I was a dude everywhere. And I was the only one that looked like me everywhere I went, so I stuck out. You know what I'm saying? So I was arguing, just like, let him in. Yo, what the fuck? He said, Joe said he's cool. Yo, come on, let him in. I'm missing the action, man. I'm fucking arguing with this guy. I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting aggressive. So then it was like, all right, just chill. Just, Joe was like, yo, chill, yeah, whatever. Just, he can't get in. And I said, yo, my bad, homie. I tried. All right, cool. And he walked away. And then 2 months later, I'm driving down in Houston Street. And I'm listening to the radio, and baby, you my everything. You're all I want. I said, damn, it's fire. Who the f- is this? And they was like, oh, it's not named Drake. I said, no way. Yeah, it was him. Just like that. I've seen a lot of those, man. I've been a part of a lot of those situations. So
Well, no, but that's how New York is. But that's the reason why, when you look at Drake, for example, it's good to see his success because he had to go through the process of proving himself. Whereas nowadays, I feel like things are handed to you.
Mm.
But that's a good thing. So when Mona approached you to do Love and Hip Hop, it was to work with Tahiri
For the music.
for the music.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with being a personality.
Okay. To produce music for Tahiri.
Right, and for the show.
And for the
like,
show.
Yo, whatever I need, just help me out.
Okay. So how did it happen to where you became an on-camera personality?
Great question. Back to Joe. Yeah, I'm mentioning too much in my. But anyway, there was a scene. Mona approached me about a scene with Tahiri and her ex-boyfriend. Man was like, "Yo, can you come talk to him and just tell him that he can't come to the video set right now, some shit like that." And I was like, "All right, whatever." And I went and talked to Joe, and she realized I knew him and everything like that, and we had a conversation. He was cool about, yeah, sure, because we knew each other. She didn't. So the point is, I think that sparked like, who else do you know? And what else do you do? Like, how you know these? And then boom, 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 boom. Because all she knew me from was music. Everybody knew like this guy's really good at music, and he's great at music, and he's great at spotting talent and cultivating. So she knew that already through the buzzing of the industry, But she didn't know that, I was outside. Man, everybody knew who I was. I was like a nightlife star, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So once she started, she's like, wait. And then my personality, because like my old lawyer, Ed Garvin, used to say, he could never schedule meetings with me and DMX on the same day because he represented both of us, especially at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he said because we were the same people. We're always either emotional or angry or crying or fighting, you know what I mean? Is always driven by some kind of emotion. So he would schedule meetings with me and DMX completely on different days because he could not deal with us both in the same day. Because he said we were the same people. You know what I mean? So I never forgot that. I feel like that was a great description of me.
You were wild.
Wow, yeah, for sure. I was out of control back then. I didn't really care about much. I ain't come from nothing. So everything I got, I felt was like a gift, and I was happy to have it. So I was like, whatever, I'll do anything to defend it. You know what I mean? Because just having it for that moment was like enough for me. I felt like I could take that and just put it in the sky. Like whatever accomplishment came my way, I was ready to hang my jersey up and just be like a Hall of Famer. Because for me, I'm like, I came from nothing, so I had nothing to gamble with in the first place.
So when you became on our personality on Love and Hip Hop, what eventually happened was you started out doing the music, trying to help out Tahiri. Did you ever produce music for her?
Yeah, I produced and wrote a record called Devil. Because, I've always been into that. I've always been into, everything I write and produce to this day is based off the emotion of what I'm feeling for that day and whoever I'm feeling about or whatever I'm feeling about. So that's been my method since day one, and I can also do it and interpolate that for other people. In other words, if you're going through something with your partner and you came to me, yo, bro, I want to make this record, and just why I say Los, well, what happened? Why'd you guys break up? Did he cheat or did this or that? What was it about dinner? What did you have at dinner? It's the detail, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes records amazing. It's the detail in them, and then the melody, of course. But the melody requires detail. The detail should be vivid to the imagination. So I was like, all right, you're going through some this dude, talking about Joe. I said, how do you feel about him? She's like, I feel like he's my devil, like I just can't get away from him, you know what I mean? And I said, all right, boom, I said, the record is Devil, you're my devil. And then so I wrote and produced that for her. And then they liked it, especially given what I had to deal with in terms of, she wasn't an artist. So when they saw that, like, if you can do that with that, imagine if we start giving them like, Olivia and stuff like that. I started working with some of those girls, and then they started seeing some of the fruits of that. And it was like, oh, this is different. And then his personality is just, because they always say I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I was good at taking a scenario and just stretching it. You know what I mean? For cinematic purposes.
What are your thoughts on Tahiri as an artist?
I didn't know if she was or wasn't. I mean, I wish her the best. I don't, I work with real recording artists, Grammy Award winners.
She's not a real one?
I work with Grammy Award winners, nominees, I had Leandria Johnson in the studio, like a month ago? She got 2 Grammys, I believe. Like, then I had Kiki Wyatt the next week. Then after that, I had Tasha Page Lockhart the week after that. Those are 3 of the biggest vocalists in the world. You tell me who's an artist. I'm on to the next. Now I'm going to go work with Luther Vandross.
And then you work with Mariah Lynn after that.
I worked on Love and Hip Hop. You know what I mean? Worked on Love and Hip Hop, and I think I'm gonna, shout out to Ray J. Ray J was, found out I was coming to the studio about a week ago, and he said, "Oh, that's the homie. I'm wait for him," and he waited for an hour and he showed me love and we talked. And he was like, "Yo, man, you did all four." I just did a cameo on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta recently, just to do it so I could say I did all four, and I don't think nobody else has done that. That's what me and Ray J was talking about. Miami, I shot for this season. I shot with, Trick Daddy, the Hollywood Twins, a bunch of scenes. Don't know if they aired them or not. I could care less. I shot them. That's on my Instagram. Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, Tiara Marie, New York, obviously, and now Atlanta, all four.
Did you and Tahiri ever date?
No.
Okay.
There's so many women that people thought I've dated
that
I never did. So I love those questions. Please keep them going all day.
Did you and Tiara Marie ever date?
Yes.
What was that relationship like?
Toxic. Because we were both in a bad place at the time. We just weren't good for each other. But I don't think Tiara Marie's a bad person. I actually think she's a sweet girl, very talented. We all have our issues. You know what I mean? And I don't throw stones. That's not my job. You know what I mean? Because I have my own trouble. You know what I mean? And I feel like if I did ever throw a stone at somebody like that for whatever weaknesses they have in life, it will bounce right back at me because I have them too. You feel me? So wish her well, but we just, it wasn't, we should have never been dealing with each other personally. But, we were out doing the show and stuff like that.
How long did y'all date?
For about the life of the show, you know what I mean? Because originally it was, a little more lighter on the side of things between me and her. We were kind of cool. And it just, we started, but they knew we were cool, and it was like, oh, well, let's put a camera on this. And I think the pressure of all that shit, like, wait a minute. Because we were really dating. I didn't date any of those other girls you talk about. I never dated Mariah Lynn. Never dated Mo Money. I never dated those girls, ever.
Did you sleep with them?
No, sir.
Okay.
Never slept with them, anything physically. No, with none of them. None of the girls, none of them. Name one, I'll tell you. Well, actually, see, I can't tell you if I did, but I would tell you, I'll just be quiet. I'll give you that. You know what I mean? Because I'm a real dude. That's the only way to validate when I tell you I didn't. You feel me? So I'll give you that. But no, I never had anything physically going on with none of the girls you just mentioned, other than Tiara Marie. That she became like a girlfriend, for real.
And you guys were together so you said the duration of the show. Obviously, she is somebody who is talented. She can sing. She has been open about all of the things she had to deal with. When you look at someone like her and being in a relationship with somebody like her, do you feel like there was a real interest there, or did a lot of it have to do with the fact that you had this show hovering over the two of you, and that's what sort of propelled you guys to really start to date even more?
In a space of confusion, like-minded people, in that case, talented people, will find each other. And that's all that is. You know what I mean? Again, we didn't belong with each other because we both had shit in our lives we should have been working through before we got with each other, Took me a long time to realize as a man, you need to identify when there's things wrong with you and you have to go work on them and make yourself a better person. So when you do meet someone that you have a genuine interest in and you want to actually try to build something with, you have actually something to build from. How do you build from a broken space? It won't hold. You know what I mean? So you got to set your own basement and first floor for yourself as a man, as a woman, as an individual, as an adult. Get you right and then start dating. And it took me years, obviously, to learn that. But that's why I said it just, sometimes we go, especially men, I think it's worse than women because we go from being broken to being more broken. I was talking about this the other day. Women, they have the luxury of having girlfriends they can call when they're going through shit with their man. Yo, girl, let me tell you about what's going on. Oh, girl, I got to tell you about Paul. Let me tell you about him. Well, girl, I see you at MCK. Let's have drinks. Right? And then they go and they do it. And what's that? That's releasing. That's therapy. because they have someone to bounce off of. And girl, let me tell you this, and venting and all that you release. Man, we don't have that. We can't call each other, man, homeboy, let me tell you this about this girl. We just don't do that.
Y'all don't?
I don't. I mean, well, I do. I've had to find a different way to do it. But most guys growing up, from where I'm from, I can only speak to my environment.
Okay.
I could talk about the jungle where I came from and ruled.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to the other one on the side of the continent. I'm not from there. But my circle was like, you got to be hard all the time. You know, you love somebody, you got to be willing to walk away and just, this is life, it's straight. Whatever it is, you know, it's edge. It's what you got to keep to protect yourself. So no, I did not know that myself and how to, go through those emotions. And I think a lot of guys don't. And, what happens is they break up with a girl. They won't deal with the trauma or the issues of that relationship or what was wrong with them. And they'll just go meet another girl and take them same problems and issues with them and just get more problems. Before you know it, they're running around. Guys are just like crashing out because they never took the time to deal with themselves. Figure out, let's go back 5 girls and figure out what was wrong with you with the first one you dated 3 years ago. You never fixed that. That problem just grew and festered. And you develop more problems because, she told you don't listen, but you really don't listen. So now you're dealing with problems with all of them because the first one told you didn't listen. So once you go back and fix that and leave them all alone. That's what I did at a certain point. For like a year and a half, I didn't date anybody.
Do you have a relationship with your children's mom?
Yeah, it's one of my best friends. We're like this. That's family.
And why didn't that work out?
You got to buy my album. When I play out, I'm working on my album right now.
How about you play with the plants as an instrument and then serenade the answer?
Great question. That's so complicated of a situation. You're talking about 2 people who met when they were kids. We were like literally like teenagers, and we just both came from nothing. And we were trying to figure out a way to come together and survive and make it from there. So that's my friend. That's my blood. That's my family. I'll never turn my back on. You know what I mean? Always.
Is she the one that got away?
No, she's the one that we shouldn't have been together in the first place. As a romantic couple, no. We should have maintained the friendship because we were never right for each other in the first place. Our interests were not aligned in life. Our what we found fun wasn't the same. You can't go out and compromise your happiness every day for somebody else. You'll never truly be happy. You got to find someone who enjoys what makes you happy and share those moments. So there was nothing wrong. There was a lot wrong. There was no reason why we couldn't have fixed things if we were similar enough people and shared enough of the same interests and just things that made us happy in life. If we shared those common grounds, common areas, we would have worked out because we're the best of friends. But we didn't. She's very highbrow and polished, very educated, extremely articulate, brilliant woman. Brilliant. I thank God for having children from a woman that's so strong and intelligent, such a strong, intelligent Black woman. I praise her. You know what I mean? I just wasn't the right guy for her.
And how many kids do you have with her?
2. I only have 2 children.
Okay.
I only have 2 children. Both came from that love. You know what I mean? And they all love the same. You know what I mean? And they're, when I moved to Atlanta, it was to be there for them. It's not a place of origin for me or a place I would normally live at because I'm a tropical guy, But I didn't care about the trees or the sand. I care about my children because you can't raise children from, cash apps and monthly, child support. That doesn't work. They need a father. You know what I mean? I always say children want their mother, but they need their father.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's a need.
Yeah.
Especially when you got girls. I got a daughter. You know what I mean?
You famously dated Jennifer Williams.
Yes.
Which was a shock to all of us.
Right. You included?
Well, because I know the both of you. And Jennifer.
Separately. I remember that. First time.
Separately.
Didn't we go like to Noble or some shit one night? And then you came and I was like, and you were like, and she tried to introduce us. And you're like, really? Like, but you never said nothing about, listen, I know this guy. You
no, listen.
When you were 20 years old,
Despite what people think in the world, I'm not messy. So when I came in and
really not.
I'm not messy.
He's completely fucking the opposite. I remember that day we were at the bar in Noble waiting for Carlos, and he shows up, fly as always and shit. He's like, hey, girl, and he shows her love, and they hugging and shit. She's like, this is my boyfriend. And he's like, I know Cisco. You know what I mean? And that's all you said.
That was it.
And you like, what's up, brother? And you hug me. And she's like, oh, y'all know each other. It's just like, and we both gave like, you know, like you don't understand, like I just dated his sister, you know, it's his twin, you know what I mean? And she loved her brother and her twin brother. And I know your mama and your daddy, the musician.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to them for sure, you
For
know.
sure.
So I was like, I know the King family, all of them. I knew your brother, the other one, you know what I mean?
Tone.
Yeah, Tone. Like I'm saying, like I know the family. So
Yeah.
anyway, you think, okay, y'all cool. But I'm saying I'm like family. But the beautiful family that 25 years, me and this guy have worked in the same business. We grew up to work in this, and we've never like even worked together, and we're still brothers.
Yeah.
That's real family.
No, absolutely.
I mean?
So how do you and Jennifer meet? Because again, I when I saw the two of you together, knowing the two of you, I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah, I know. We actually got a show off of that. We signed a deal, I think, with Mona. She named the show Beauty and the Beast, you know, and they started shooting.
Were you the beauty? And
I was the beauty. I thought I was the beauty, but apparently I was the beauty. No, because of my remember, back then I was wild, you know, my temperament. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, you know, so, you know, and I used to get into a lot of shit with Jennifer, you know, like in the street and clubs and stuff like that, because Jennifer, you know, Jennifer had that air about her. You know, she always walked like, you know, this Jennifer, you know, I mean, she had a vibe, you know. She was always cool people. I got us another person. I wish her the best. I heard she's married. I'm happy for her. You know what I mean? I don't, many of my exes, I'm literally mostly friends with all of them. You know what I mean? I try to take the higher path in life. Even when they go, they, God forbid, they talk shit about me or whatever, I'm like, that's cool. That's what women do sometimes. They don't bother me.
Do you feel like a lot of people that you dated have this perception of you, and then they do interviews where they may have say some negative things about you?
No, I think maybe that was probably the only one, and even that I didn't really care. I ran into her one time at in Beverly Hills.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
What did she say about you?
Or I was having dinner with Tank and Jay Valentine, I think his manager. You know, they got the podcast.
Yeah.
This is before that podcast.
R&B Money. Yeah.
You know, Tank's my brother. You know,
love Tank.
Yeah, it's my brother for many years. And she just Tank used to get the upstairs at Mastro's, like the private shit. You know, the fly. You know, me, I go to the barbecue spot and get some, you know, chicken and ribs, but whatever. We in Mastro's and the rooftop, whatever. By the way, the entire floor is just ours. Me, Tank, and Valentine. And then boom, we're halfway through dinner and the door opens and it was Jennifer and her two friends. And she came over like cursing me out and stuff. You know what I mean?
Jennifer did?
Yeah. She's like, ask Tank to you. She's like yelling at me and shit. And I was like, yo,
what you do?
I said, can I buy you a drink? And she's like, oh, okay. I bought her a drink.
Why was she mad at you in the first place?
You know, I don't know, man. I was young. I probably, you know, I wasn't
faithful.
No, it had nothing to do with that. No, Jennifer was I never cheated on Jennifer.
Okay.
No, hell no. First of all, I was scared of Jennifer. Jennifer was just Jennifer, you know, Jennifer is no joke. She don't let her fool you. Her attitude is real. You know, I didn't want no problems with her. Like, so when she would tell me, I was like, all right, chill, no problem, you know. I'm tough with dudes. I'm not tough with women. Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I'm not. With women, all right, man, sure, man. Because I wanted to be happy. So I just was young and I didn't know how to make her happy at the time. That's all. You know, it was just like I wouldn't listen. Hey, do this or do that. Or why you don't take me here? Why you know, that type. But I don't think if you ask her, she'll probably say some bullshit about me. But she won't say I was like a bad guy. I don't think so. You know what I mean? So just like, oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But not like he's a bad dude. No, I don't think any of them ever say that. Because I try not to be, really. I put work into that.
Did you go broke dating Jen?
I almost. I mean, it got expensive. That ain't gonna lie. You know, and for her, it wasn't enough. You know, obviously.
Like what? Talk to me, Cisco, because this is the thing. Yeah. I'm gonna be real. There's a lot of men. I know a lot of straight men who feel like, look, I gotta stay away from the baddie who likes the expensive clothes, the expensive dinners. I don't mind that on a blue moon or like a special occasion, maybe even once a month. But is it challenging for a straight man who is trying to build an empire to date a woman who requires the expensive lifestyle of like dinners and trips and gifts?
No, that's not the challenge. That's easy. The challenge is finding one that don't.
Oh.
That's the challenge.
Explain.
The one that just likes you for you and sees your gifts and your talent and your art and how talented you are and how you got there via your talent, not necessarily all the other in the TVs and the, you know, the movies and the music and all that stuff. The challenge is finding the one that will be with you whether you're doing it or not. Whether you are him or not. It's easy to love me now. If I was a female, I would love me right now too. This took a lot of work. I got a major film on Lifetime right now. I'm on network television, reality right now. I just musical direct, produce, wrote an entire season for Deb's House season 2. It's coming out this summer on WeTV. That's all right now. So, but you gotta love me before, when I didn't know what I was gonna do in my life, and I thought about quitting everything. I did quit everything because of my divorce. I did nothing, and I thought it was all over, everything, every part of my life. So, would you love me then? If you would, then I'd give you the world. You deserve it at that point. Not because I gained the world through all my sacrifices, heartache, pain, trials and tribulations, moments when I didn't think I was going to make it, and God spoke to me, lifted me through on a raft. You weren't there for that. So I got to be conscious of what I spend and share with you, with my resources. And if that to you makes me less than, then the problem is you, not me. So I'm able to walk on, find someone else.
Is that what happened?
No, I mean, well, yeah, kind of, sort of. She just was, Jennifer, remember, Jennifer was used to a certain lifestyle. And she got it, too. Like, homeboy that she was with, the NBA player, I forgot his name. Yeah, he was like...
Her ex-husband?
Yeah. He was, from based on what she told me, homeboy was smashing her with that bread every month. Like, here, boom, go do whatever you want.
Did you have to give Jen an allowance every month?
Nah, but I'm sure she wouldn't have minded one. You know what I mean?
Did y'all talk about that?
A lot of the arguments, I think were stemming from that, just like, I remember there were days where we would go have lunch, in Edgewater. That'd be $200-300, and go have an early afternoon somewhere else, Houston or something. Then go to Noble at night. And then you look the next day, and then it's like you spend all this money, and then that person looking at you like, so what we doing today? Yeah, but yesterday, that was yesterday. I don't want to hear that. And it's like, what? Then you trying to wind up keep up with the Joneses or the Jennifers or whoever the fuck it is at that time. You know what I'm saying? And you say, yo, I think I better leave you alone. Yeah.
Is that a new song? Not keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Jennifers.
I'm not. Now you start some shit, man. Shout out to Jennifer Williams.
Oh, that's my baby. Jennifer, I don't close.
Want Jennifer. You're for a whole soul.
That's my baby.
Oh, Jennifer crazy. Unless you're gonna go on the blogs. Listen, Jennifer, this mother wrote me in. I did not want to talk about her. Like I said, her, she's married. I wish her well, man.
She is. So a great guy named Christian.
Awesome.
I was at their wedding.
Beautiful.
It was a great wedding. It
awesome.
was.
Yeah.
It was.
I was actually supposed to. The funny thing is, I was supposed to go to MCK that night. Cause I had
the engagement party.
Well, I had a meeting. I was setting up, to talk some business, whatever. I was like, oh, let's meet at MCK because that's like the spot. And they was like, oh, you can't go there tonight. They got some private going on. I said, what's going on? Oh, okay. Well, I can't go there. Let's find somewhere else. It was that kind of shit. Yeah.
Is she the most famous woman you dated?
No. I mean, if you're looking at like fame, no, hell no.
Who is it?
I can't say the name, but Tank can. He can.
Because I don't think he's in the room.
That's how. I'm just telling you.
Why can't you tell me?
Because he got his own platform, and he can find a way to talk about it where it don't sound like he's snitching. But Tank and I'll tell you this, if it helps you. Tank and I were enemies when we first met. I was looking to like fight him and beat him up like that. Over a woman that was like playing us both on some Monica Brand. But it was me and Tank. Tank's famous. I'm not, though, at the time. I'm just New York City, Cisco. But now I'm not running around, doing intern no more. Now I'm Cisco in New York. You know what I mean?
Bullshit.
So it's the whole shit. That one, the fat Cisco. That's Cisco. You know what I mean? 300-pound Cisco. That's a whole different story. When I walked, it was like the ground was shit. You knew that back then. It was a presence.
Can't.
So then when, I found out that my little honeydew was on the road with his artist, and they were going to the same hotel room while I was sending her flowers, I was very upset, and that's what happened, yeah.
Is she a singer?
That I will make this interesting for you because you're my brother.
Yes.
Exclusive. Nah, I've never talked about this before. We've talked about me and him before. I said one day that's just gonna come out. And we don't know. It's like double Dutch. You know what I mean? But no, she was an actress,
An actress.
a real one,
A real one.
like only major movies, and like not network. No disrespect. I mean like in theaters. Buy 20 tickets, $10. Buy popcorn. That's who that was.
AMC.
AMC, iPick, 3D, surround sound.
Feature films.
Only A-list. She was A-list.
Is she still relevant today?
She's still doing big things. I think they're behind the scenes more, but she's like directing all type of now.
Okay.
Big. Oh, woo, too much.
I mean,
too much. I forgot who I was talking to. I was forgetting who I was talking to. Oh, too much. I'm gonna shut up now. Yo, Vic. No,
Is the initial? Tell me this much. Is her initial a T?
No. What was that? Okay. You can say the name.
No, because I know her too.
Well, it's just be interesting. No, you want to put me on the spot? I can't trade. What
so she's more directing stuff now.
What the fuck are you talking about? Well, they said it.
No, I'm asking you.
No T. No.
Meaning this woman she's more directing now than acting.
No, I think she does, but I don't follow her career. But I've seen her in both, in movies and shit like that and stuff like that. She's still doing. Yes, from what I gather, she's still on both sides. But now she's also like big dog and directing movies and series. Yeah,
and so she's single still.
I have no idea. I don't follow her personal life. I've never seen her again since then. 20 years, never seen her. That's how long I know Tank. We were fucking enemies, and because he was like talking shit about me
to her.
Yeah, and they would get back to me. She called me one time. I was at a restaurant, and she was like, "Oh, Tank," because I had approached Tank one time. He was a Tyrese like that, and I went up to him. I heard he was at a club. I said, "You might see this guy. Let me know." So they told me, "Yo, he's at Ruby Falls on 29th Street." But it was a block barbecue in my neighborhood that day.
Men love to snitch. I'm teasing. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it was my publicist at the time.
Who was snitching?
No, who called me.
Okay. I
had a publicist like for music. I wasn't even famous yet. I was trying to get, you know what I mean? Like, I had a publicist that was, I don't know what she was doing for me. I already know Katrina. Shout out to Katrina Boswell. She's still a publicist. Ask Katrina Boswell. I don't know if you know, she's from New York, publicist. She was my friend. I don't know what she was publicizing because I wasn't famous yet, but whatever. She called me and said, "Yo, your girl, this guy is a singer named Tank." I was like, "What?" Said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah," and they play together. The funny thing, she brought me to meet the motherfucker one time when they were in town. I met the whole cast. I met all of them. And I said, "Wait a minute. All right, cool." But then I figured that night Tank was looking at me like that. And I was like, "Yo, what's up with this guy?" But I thought he was I ignored him. Because I knew him from One Man. I like that song. I said, "I like that music." One Man. I was like, all right. So then when I found out he was talking, because I guess he found out I was dealing with her too, he was like, "Yo, talking like tough." I said, "Word? All right, bet." Anybody see him, let me know where y'all find. I put the word out. And then it was like, "Oh, yo, he's in Ruby Falls in New York City." I said, "He is?" I said, "Yeah." It was a long time ago. It was a block party from one of my, so I'm back in the projects that day, hanging out. You know what I mean? This is no Instagram. This is real. We outside. Me and the homies, one of the homies just came home from some shit. It was a block with like 100 of us. I was like, "All right, let's go to the club." I took everybody, like 15 cars. And we went up there, about 100 of us. Tank could tell you the story. Man, I paid for 100 people to get in. And I was like, "Yo, let's go." You know what I mean? And we went in there. I came up to him. I said, "Yo, man." I went by myself to him. I said, "Yo, I know you're dealing with her too. But don't talk about me. Because I like you. I like your music. You know what I mean? You're an artist. I'm not an artist. So don't talk about me ever again." And he was like, first he tried to say something, like tough or whatever. I said, "Listen, man, I told you I love your music. But you see, there's 100 guys behind me. They're with me." And then I think Tyrese had said something. And then I told Tyrese something. Tank will tell you, I don't remember that. I said something to Tyrese too, and then he chilled out. You know what I mean? It's true story.
You said something to Tyrese and Tyrese backed off.
No, it wasn't. Not like on some sucker shit, but it was like he realized, because Tank told him, "Yo, chill, I got this. Okay. This is a one-on-one thing. Stay out of it." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I told him, I said, "Yo, it's like 100 people with me." You know what I mean? And he saw that, and he was like, "Oh, shit. All right, I'm sorry." I said, "Nah, it's cool. Whatever, fuck him." And I left it alone. And then I ran into him again months later at a nightclub called Greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he came there with Melissa Fort. And I had a table, and he wound up buying a table next to me. And then we just wound up seeing each other. And then he sent me a bottle of what I was drinking. And I sent them one back. And I said, tell the waitress, tell them, yo, it's all good. It's love. No problems in here. And then that was it. We became the best of friends. I was a groomsman at his wedding. You know what I mean?
Oh, you were?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love Xena.
I love Xena too.
That's my baby.
I helped throw the bachelor parties in Miami for the weekend. Yep. I was there with Jamie Foxx, all those motherfuckers all together. While not, they called us the Groom Squad. We terrorized Miami for 4 days. Party morning, noon, and night. Jamie Foxx DJing in the fucking pool and shit, SLS. You know, girls jumping in the water. It was crazy. We partied all night for 3 days.
So
they had to bring IVs and shit. It was like at one point, and Tank had the penthouse at SLS, and there was like 30 dudes, all of us. They had IVs like for the rejuvenation, because that's how bad people were dehydrated. And then went and party at Tootsie that night.
Whatever happened to your when this famous actress / director, who shall remain nameless, when she was dating you and Tank at the same time, what was the conversation like when you confronted her about it? Did she decide to choose one of y'all over the other?
We never spoke again. The day she called me and told me that, the day that she called me and told me that he was talking shit about me, you know, it was already, it wasn't nothing between us. We never really, nothing even really happened. We were just talking really and like hanging out a little bit back then. But I didn't care about the situation too much because it wasn't developed into anything. It was still very new. We were just kicking it. I just was bothered that when, you know, she invited me out and hang out with her, and then we're at a club with her cast, and then I find out she's messing with one. And then the dude was staring at me the whole time. Like, I was on some New York shit. Like, what the fuck? Oh, you got things. I'm, you know, just young and ignorant. And just, you know, we laugh. Tank and I laugh about this shit to this day. It's the stupidest thing. I would never do that again. I believe in PC, the power of choice. If that's what you want, God bless you. Godspeed to you and him. Thank you for clearing the way so I can get what wants me. Because that's what I like. I don't want who I got to fucking pursue. You know what I mean? The only thing I'm going to pursue is happiness. Hopefully you'll join me in that journey. That's the only thing I'm in pursuit of. Not no fucking woman to make her feel, no, I'm going to treat you well. But you got to treat me well too.
Let's talk about this title that was given to you, Peter Guns and Rich Dollaz on Love and Hip Hop. You guys were referred to as the Creep Squad, which obviously infers that you three are creepy men when it comes to dealing with women. And there was this sense of brotherhood in the earlier days of the show. And then a falling out happened, and then we'll get into some stuff that Peter Gunn said about you. He alleged that you were in the hospital because a fight broke out, and he pretty much put his hands on you. And by him putting his hands on you, well, it was an Instagram post. It was
I could FaceTime Peter right now. I guarantee you never said that.
But it was something with an Instagram. You know what I'm talking about? Was the Instagram post?
That sounds completely made up.
Okay.
Because ain't nobody ever put me in no hospital. I can tell you that.
He inferred that you two were in a physical altercation. You don't remember that?
Peter?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I would throw him around a little bit, but that's not. I love Peter Guns, my big brother, but neither one of them will challenge me physically. You got to be real about that. When you see those scenes, you know, like the firing squad scene with me, when it was me, Peter Guns, DJ Self, and Rich Dollaz, and they all in front of me. There's 3 of them. There's 1 of me. When I get up, the security tackles who? Watch the scene. You know, because you were the executive producer of Love and Hip Hop at one point. I remember that too. You know, you tell security you get the dog that can really bite. So when you see me get up in those scenes, you see 10 securities jumping me, and maybe 1 will go grab one of them. So that tells you everything. No, I mean, I love them, you know, good guys, but no, not physically. No, they can't have no way with me.
How did you feel being referred to as the Creep Squad, though?
I hated it, all of it at the time. But I understood that, you know, at the time, I'm the only guy that's like a leading male in that franchise. You know, Mona always educated me. She'd always say, Cisco, remember the love is before the hip hop, right? So what does that mean? That means it's a show about relationships. with women who deal with men in the hip hop space and all the trials and tribulations that they go through. That's what this is supposed to be about. Love and Hip Hop essentially is supposed to be like, what is it, bio series, something like that? What's it called? You know what I'm talking about? It's supposed to be like series based on their lives, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Type shit. I forgot there's a technical name for that, you know. But that inception, I guess, was what it was going for, you know. So by virtue of that, I wasn't a figure that was supposed to be dominant on there because I was attached to no real relationship. So you see every year, right? This is, who the all right, you know, today, you know, but I was him. They saw that. They saw that, you know, I know what my Q ratings were. It would fucking score through the roof. You know what Q rating is.
Mm-hmm.
That's TV saying, yo, look at when this guy comes on screen, people love it, especially women. And there's like 87% of them that's saying they turn on watching because it's him. So keep him around. Boom. You know? So what that gave us was an opportunity to like, or VH1, I think, was like, that's a fraternity, right? That's a group of guys. The Hangover. That's what to me it was supposed to be. Remember how Bradley Cooper and them, the Hangover series, we were supposed to be that, you know, I think. But it never really applied to me because how am I a creep? I got 2 kids from a marriage. None. I'm not on, thank you, Jesus, I'm not on child support. I've never been. I don't even talked about that. I love women. I respect women. I treat them well. I have a daughter that you can go on my Instagram, adores her father. You know, I played along with something because it made sense at the time, but I wouldn't play with no more. Which is why also, again, those guys, I would say publicly, I have nothing against either one of them. I love Peter Gunn. He's a great guy. He's been a great friend to me. But everybody has to do their own thing now. Because sometimes in life, in order to establish real change or real separation, you have to actually do that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to step off the boat if you want to walk on water. You know what I mean? So that's it. There's no other reason. None against them, but I choose a different path now. In terms of affiliation, but because especially for that, because I've never been. No, I'm not a fucking creep. No, I don't, and I don't like it. It's negative. I hate when people say it to me in the street.
Do
But
people still say that to you?
all the time, Geek Squad, and I'm just like, that was never me. I went along with something because it made sense at the time. I felt like it was the L I had to take to be on a show that was that fucking. Remember, Love and Hip Hop was #1. There were weeks where we would beat the Super Bowl in ratings. That's a fact. That's a fact. You can look at VH1 ratings history. We would more people will watch us on a Monday night sometimes. Or not watch us. Excuse me. I'm sorry. They would social media. They would tweet and hashtag about us more than the football games on Monday night because we came on at the same time.
Right.
So we were more talked about via. I'm sorry, that's what it was. Love and Hip Hop was more talked about via social media than even the football games on a Monday. That's when they knew it was like it's big. So it was like you want to stay on. So if these guys are doing all this wild shit, all these women, whatever, and you got to kind of play along, you go with it, not realizing, oh shit, my neck is in deep in this fucking water, and now people are seeing me for something that I'm really not. It's too late. At that point, you just keep going with it. You know what I mean? You ride it out. And then you get smart and get wise and say, nigga, get yourself together. You're so much bigger and better than that. You're gifted. The fuck are you doing that for? And no, I don't want to do it no more. But I will come on as what I am, a music producer. So go watch me on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta right now. When I made my cameo, it was only under the condition of you seeing me for my gifts as a music producer. That's it. Even if it means I don't say shit, which I didn't say anything in that scene. I look like a fucking extra on my own show that I helped build. You know what I mean? But I'm not from Atlanta, so it was just a cameo. But I reminded everyone, this is what I'm here for. And this is how I got here. It was through music, not those other bullshit that you guys affiliated me with.
Are you and Rich still friends?
No.
Why not?
I have to walk this path alone, away from any of those labels or affiliations. I don't want them anymore. That was never me. I was never a creep. I don't believe in having 10 women at the same time. I don't believe in mistreating them. I don't believe in having kids all over the place. I don't. I believe in marriage institution. I would prefer to go, I prefer to go to sleep early on a Saturday night with my wife and go to church in the morning on a Sunday than go out with her on a Saturday night. So those are my choices, and that's who I am in total being in my existence, and why would I continue to perpetuate a false narrative just to stay on television? At some point, your soul becomes worth more when you're smart enough to realize it. You say you had to take that. Call me when it's right. I ain't tripping. My shoelaces are tied. I'm walking straight. They can do it if they want at this point. Because I say, you know what? I'll give myself grace. Fuck it. I was trying to get on. I heard Spike Lee once say, you'll never, filmmakers, you're going to go through all type of to make a film. To think that you're not, you're kidding yourself. It's like walking through the jungle and expecting to not even get a mosquito bite. It doesn't happen. You want to make it, you want to cut the line and get famous a little quicker. You got to take some L's. Creep Squad was my L to get here.
Do you have any regrets doing Love and Hip Hop?
Creep Squad, yes.
Besides that, do you think the show made you be more respected in the industry or less respected?
Less respected. It did nothing but put me on a decline. Nobody saw me for my gifts, for what I do with music and the artist that I am. I live like an artist. When you really get to know me, you're like, oh my God, this guy's an artist. I live like one every day. I go to the supermarket. I smell fruits and vegetables. I look for inspiration in all different type of places. I go create art. I go write records and arrangements and melodies about it. I've been that way my whole life. But Love and Hip Hop never showed that because they said, well, this guy's such a great, eccentric personality that the money with him is in the TV and the women love him. So who gives a fuck about the music? Just throw him on that camera and let the women go crazy, or whatever. And I'm not being arrogant or whatever. It's just, yes, there's a pocket of an audience of females that really think I'm something good to look at. So they just played off of it, and so did I. When you talk about the shade room, yeah, it's fun to me. But for the most part, it's me supporting those who have supported me from day one, which is the females, the women. They have stayed there loyal. The ones I don't know, hey, we with you, Cisco, we love you. So fuck it. I am not in great shape, but I'm all right. So take a look at this 4-pack, and it's halfway D'Angelo cut. How does it feel? You know what I'm saying? That's it, man.
So were you thirst trapping when you posted that picture of yourself shirtless?
Nah, man. It's.
Or are you happy with the progress of your workout regimen?
No, I'm just happy, period. And I want to give some people to talk about, laugh at, joke about. I have found confidence within. And you can't take that away when it's true. You don't give a say whatever you want in the comments. I make this shit. Let me tell you something. Go look at the numbers. So far, I'm in the lead again, I believe. Last year, I had the highest commented post on Shade Room for the entire year. But what we did with, Drea, like, boom. Last time I checked, it was like double higher than anything that was commented on the entire Shade Room. And this year, I'm on pace, I think, to do it again by myself, just take my shirt off. That one time, it was like 49,000 last time I checked comments. Nothing else, I don't think it's coming nowhere clear that or close to it. So you tell me, you know what I mean? It works. For whatever reason, it works. And you can have fun with it. If there's fucking 67,000 people that are laughing at it, then you can enjoy it. I brought some smile and some joy to your day. It did not change the way I feel about myself. I still think I'm going to take it off and throw this Vaseline on like I got a fucking 9-pack. I don't care.
You lather your body up with Vaseline before taking a photo?
It depends if I'm alone or not. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to do it if I got company. Is that right? Is that all right? You tell me. I'm not doing it if I'm not alone. You know what I mean? You're going to serve your purpose. Let's go to this bathroom and get me right. Then I'm going to walk back through this door and go viral by 3 o'clock. And by 2 o'clock, damn, you really? I just told you. Because there's no effort into it. The world likes what's effortless, what's genuine, not staged. Unless you're doing skits and all that. I'm not doing all that. I'm just fucking being me. It's early and I feel good. Take a look at it. Love it. Or not. Just fucking talk about it.
I can't.
Well, you got to keep people engaged somehow. You keep them engaged.
Oh, I mean, clearly I know all about that.
So VH1 already gave me the recipe, right?
Okay.
Viacom gave me the recipe.
That included Vaseline and lubricant.
I mean, if it's on if it's on my chest and I'm looking good, I'm with it. You know what I mean? Because they told me back then, they said, here are his numbers. When they would position me around the different cities. Throw me in. Then I started doing specials, family reunion, Run It Back, where they put me in the middle. Go watch that. Go watch Run It Back. And that'll tell you everything. Every time we sat in those segments, where it was like a talk show, we're supposed to be just telling jokes and doing comedy. Put them in the middle. And I'm not gonna name names. There were cast members right next to me. One of them threw a fucking fit, threatened to quit and all that. Daniel Wien, shout out to Daniel Wien. I think he's like vice president of VH1 or something. I don't know what the fuck he does. Came down from Video Village and said, "What is the fucking problem? Why he gets to sit every day in the middle? I want to sit in the middle." You know, a heart is a house for love. And I've learned. I'm like, this motherfucker really pulled out the flash.
Not five
And
heartbeats.
then I'm just like, sitting there. I said, let me give me some Hennessy, some chill. I was having some, I think, shrimp pasta. And I said, let me just wait for this to play out. Because I already knew who was going back in the middle. But let this motherfucker dance around and try to be Bobby Brown all you want. You can't be. That's why they sat me next to Bobby Brown at the Stella Awards. We were crying on each other's shoulders. Because you can't fake what's real. The lead singer is the lead singer. So he said, how about this? How about you go sit your ass down or just go home? But you won't get paid. I bet you went and took a seat. And then the king came to the middle, which is funny because when I saw the email that we were doing this, me and you, I said, I told my brother I was going to do it. We in. Let's do it. Let's go. I saw the email. It says, the email Rochelle sent, and shout out to Rochelle Cowan. She was forwarded to me. She said, it says, interview with the, it said, Carlos interview with the king, Cisco. So I said to Rochelle, I said, yo, that's what's up. That's my brother. You see what I'm saying? You see, he realizes who's the king. He's probably talking about reality. Oh, it says Carlos.
Yes.
It says King Reality TV Cisco. That's what it said, the email.
Uh-huh.
King Reality TV Cisco. And I said, yeah, my man Carlos recognizes me for accomplishments in reality TV. He sees me as one of the kings. You know, you see that? I told you. He sees. I did all 4. I'm on Lifetime. I'm here. I'm on WeTV. I'm talking hella shit. You see? He knows the fucking vibe. That's my brother.
Of confidence, I can tell you that.
And she says, sorry, Cisco, no, he's not talking about you. He's talking about himself. He's the king of fucking reality TV and media because he made a lot of you guys, all right? So he's not talking about you, but he doesn't want to talk to you on the 18th. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, you're not talking about me. I just felt like a fucking fool for 5 minutes. So why the fuck didn't you interrupt me, man? You kept me.
I'm just saying.
No, they didn't. I was like, they let me go on the tangent. Hey,
well,
and I got this, I got that, and it's
I think they all know you by now, Cisco.
He's talking about himself. So yes, I forgot.
I think they know by now.
The king of media, Carlos King. Sorry.
Well, I want to talk about this because there's this debate going around about who the king of R&B is, and R. Kelly's name is being mentioned in the company. But you did go viral recently for a video that had, you know, our friend Drea Kelly a part of it, to where it appeared that you and Drea Kelly were in a relationship. Something was said along the lines of, y'all have known each other for like 11, 12 years, dated along those, maybe around those times. It was never cleared up. So I would like for you to clear this up. Are you and Drea Kelly in a relationship?
No. Drea Kelly and I have never dated. You know, we were always friends. You know,
friends for benefits?
No, not for. I've never done anything romantically with Drea Kelly. Excuse me. I've never done anything romantically with Drea Kelly. We've never
You
kissed.
never had sexual relations with that woman.
I've never had sex with. We never even kissed. We were not. It was not. No. I've never dated Drea Kelly, in any capacity. No, we were not. Just friends. You know. I think the video was a marketing idea that I had. You know, I was just like, let's just do something really fun and cool. And, you know, let's just shock the people, you know. And I called her with it. And this is a real story. I don't know. I'm telling you what really happened. I called her, I said, Drea, remember I was working with her kids already in the music. Because I had told her 11 years ago when I saw her at Nene's wedding, when she asked me, I was at Nene's wedding with Jennifer. Jennifer was one of... That's
right.
Yeah, you were there.
I produced it, yeah. You were there with Jennifer, yeah.
I was there with Jennifer. Remember, I went on the bachelor party bus and all that shit, you know? So I didn't really, like, click with those guys. You know what I mean? None of the guys that were, like, a part of that show. There wasn't really, like, I don't think we were each other's vibe. So I was always by myself throughout that weekend of Nene's wedding. Because I went with the guys to the bachelor party. God rest his soul, Greg. Mm-hmm. You know, nice guy.
Because Jennifer, Jennifer, who you were dating at the time, was a bridesmaid.
Correct.
Of Nene's.
Correct.
Go ahead. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, yes, thank you for clearing it up. Yes.
Yep.
So and the funny thing is that we were, like, broken up at that time. We weren't together, she and I. But she had put my name with her back when we were. You know how weddings are, they
Yeah.
invite 6 months in advance. So she called me like, look, and I was like, nah, it's all good, man. We can go as friends. You know what I mean? No problem. We don't have to, be romantic. We weren't. There was no romance. Shit. We just friends for the weekend. I just held it down for, like I said, I never really end on bad terms. Even though they talk, no enemies. If I saw her right now, she should probably say hi to me. You know what I mean? I'm sure of it. I don't think it'll be no beef. But yeah, so I went with Jennifer, but she was a bridesmaid, so she was busy. So I was by myself because I wasn't really fucking with those dudes like that. It wasn't really my speed. None of the housewife dudes. I'm like, I'm cool. So I just kept to myself. You know what I mean? And that's when Drea Kelly would come over like, hey man, you want something to eat? Hey, I see you by yourself. You want a drink or something? And she was. She took she did. She took great care of me that day. You know what I mean? She was like my pseudo date. She was with her husband, but she just felt bad because she saw me by myself and I was in a room full of people. I wasn't speaking. I was kind of awkward and antisocial. And she just brought me food and drinks one night and then said, hey, I got these kids. One of them is Robert Kelly Jr., Joanne Kelly, and they're really talented. They're his son, and they're his kids, his son, his daughter, whatever. And shout out to Ja Baby. Also my kids are talented, just like their dad. I said I'm exiting music right now because I'm gonna start doing this TV shit with Mona Scott. But if I ever come back and do music again, I'll call you, and work with your kids. And that's what she was talking about. She was looking for a way to show appreciation because I kept my word. And I was like, yo, and I came back to music. I was like, yo, call Drea Kelly. And her kids were grown, 21, 22. It was like, it was perfect. And then boom, I started like working with them. I signed one of them and everything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So the intention of the video was just to get attention.
No, it was just, yeah, it was to get attention. It was to get attention and just do something fun and flirty with my old friend. You know what I mean? That I knew it was going to make waves. Obviously, I didn't think it was going to crack the internet in half. I understand. I underestimated my own, potential with that. I said, oh, we'll have some fun for the day. Let our friends be like, yo, look at this shit. You guys are crazy. We shot that in like an hour. It was like boom, boom, boom. It was quick. It looked way more, and it was just some fun. I always thought she was a pretty woman and stuff like that, but I never wanted to cross those lines. Number one, she was cool with Jennifer. That would have been weird. Number two, I worked with her kids. And plus, musically, I have too much respect for their dad. Musically, he is the greatest songwriter of all time. You know what I mean? And I'm, they say what they're saying about me right now as a songwriter and producer. Hopefully, God willing, that manifests itself into this year. But I wanted to go and study the other number ones. That's why I went to Chicago. To go study more about him, study more about Kanye West. Not for their political side or whatever the fuck they're doing in their personal lives, but to really study the genius because I'm an artist and I can separate church and state, art from real life. You know what I mean? So if you if you're the kind of person that's going to judge music by the people that are making it or singing it or performing it, if you're going to judge the music by their personal acts, then you just won't be, just turn your radio off. Because all of it, if that's the case, has some kind of poison in it at some point. Every record. There's somebody in that label or some organization that was doing some foul. You just don't know. So don't pick the water you're going to sip from the well if it's all poison in the first place. I'm an artist. I appreciate art. I'm a purist. I'm a pure artist. I don't even give a fuck about money. I care about my art. You know what I mean? And through that, thank you, God, I'm able to make money.
So are you dating anybody right now?
No, currently, no, I'm alone. I have, some interest in some situation, but it's not,
I mean, it's Atlanta.
Which makes it worse because you have more volume, less substance. You know what I mean? If I want somebody that wants me for who I am, I can go anywhere. What if I walk away from it? You still gonna stick around? Let's talk about that. You know what I mean? It might not be. It might be Ruby Tuesdays again. You okay with that? Or it could be noble for the rest of your life. I don't know. You know what I mean? Nor do I focus on that because I don't care about money. I care about my art. And that's why I think it's so great.
You're in Atlanta. These women care about going to Nobu.
Right. And
you're
right.
Peachtree and Buckhead.
Go to my Instagram. I've been there twice in the past month. And I went on 2 different dates. One with my daughter.
With a woman?
No, one with my daughter and one with my son.
Okay.
That's who gets
a lot of the women in Atlanta, they want a man. that's a provider.
Mm-hmm. What are you providing me? How you filling my? I don't need your money. I don't want it. How you filling up my cup internally, spiritually, mentally, physically is easy. I can find anybody for that. 99 problems. That ain't one. But how you gonna fill up my cup as a man? Make me feel better than what I am. Take me to places I can get to myself. You do that, I give you whatever you want. You can eat Noble for breakfast because I'll bust to give it to you, and then I'll go get a fucking smoothie and something healthy because I want to look good. You eat that if that's what makes you happy, but you gotta earn it. Nah, especially at this age of my life, you gotta earn it. Not I'll be by myself.
Do you want your woman to work?
I want my woman to do whatever it is that's gonna make her happy, so she can make me happy.
What makes her happy is being a kept woman and living a soft girl era.
I've done that before too. I have no problem with it.
Okay.
I'm an Afro Latino, so that Latino is strong in there. We are like very much stay home, clean the house, make the
But
food.
she has to clean.
You don't have to, because I've done that too. I hired somebody else to do it. You gotta love me, for real, genuinely. If you do that, I can work with your desires and wants and how you want to conduct. You want to work, you don't. I don't give a fuck. You know, what I have is yours anyway. I'm not making it for me.
I think that's bullshit.
It's the truth.
I don't think a man who is providing for a woman is okay if she decides to be a stay-at-home mother or a stay-at-home girlfriend in this case, and she ain't.
It depends where that man's trying to go with his life and his career. She could be the perfect piece to the puzzle that's missing. So you're gonna sacrifice that because she ain't cleaning your house. You paid $150 somebody to do that, so you'll lose every good part of her. What if she talks to you in a way where you feel like a king when you look in the mirror? I walk out my door 6 feet 6 inches taller because of the right woman talking to me, and I can go and dominate the world even more, make more money, close bigger deals, do bigger projects because of the love and the encouragement of that woman rubbing my back at night. That, yo, you are the greatest. You are. I play my music for them. They cry. They're like, you're gifted. You know, the right one will help you see more in yourself. So yes, that supersedes making me a burrito or wiping my counters down. Yeah, I can find somebody to do that. I can't find someone to inspire me. That has to just happen. That comes from within. So I'm lucky enough to find you. Don't worry about that. That's small. Bigger picture.
All right, so I have a lot of female viewers.
Yeah.
So if she's listening right now, what type of woman does Cisco want? So you want her to speak to you, rub your back when you get home. So when she speaks to you, you grow 6 inches vertically.
Hopefully the other way too. I'm just kidding. No, kidding. No, I want to be attracted, of course. That's important.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. That's non-negotiable too. I won't lie to you about that. I tried the other way. I can't do it that way. I have to be physically attracted to you. That's a must. It won't work. And you the same. I'll be I'll ask a woman, when I first meet them, what do you think about me? What you mean? Look at what the comment, I ain't asked you what my comment said. What do you think about when you look at me? What do you think about me when I take my clothes off? In general, how do you feel? I want to know. Because if you don't feel like you saying this, then you don't fuck with me. Do not convince yourself to want me. I don't want that. I'd rather be myself, Carlos. I stay by myself. Fuck that. What? A girl that's like motivating herself. You know, I hear guys say that. I hear girls say that. Women say that all the time. No, I don't have to be attracted to him. It's about his mind. Yeah, I gotta go. Check, please. What you had? What's you had? Don, Julio, Repo, 2 of them. I've just been paid. I gotta go. Out of here. You're telling me you're willing to spend the rest of your life laying next to somebody you don't find attractive? How long is that gonna last and be healthy? Because he's providing for you. You'll get used to that money. You'll get used to that car. You'll get used to those shoes. You'll get used to that bag. You'll get used to everything. But what you will never get used to is looking at the that you don't find attractive. You're gonna walk out with your friends in that Mercedes, in that pocketbook that he bought you, and then you're gonna be in a bar, in a club, or in a restaurant, and somebody that looks like me, maybe, might walk by and be like, and that creates infidelity. So no, get what you want the first time. Or stay by yourself until that happens, It's okay. Find peace with it. Because if you need people to be happy, then you have problems there. You're never really happy with yourself in the first place. So you'll make somebody miserable because you ain't happy with you. I'm okay with being me. I love me. I'm my own favorite subject, if you can't tell.
Oh, we know. All right, so to wrap things up, you have Deb season 2 coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the Lifetime movie. So talk to us about all of these things you have on the horizon.
So I have a Lifetime movie that I'm in that's out right now. I just did the red carpet for that in New York. Shout out to Breezy, the actress from All American. She was on the panel with me. She's in the movie. We did that in New York. That was dope. It's my first major acting debut on network film, which is the Lisa and Cole Jam story. Can You Feel the Beat? Also, yes, I just shot a show called Deb's House Season 2, where 10 female R&B artists live in a house and they all compete for a record deal with Deb. And WeTV hired me to produce all the music for the entire season, you know. And then I also hosted the season finale and musical directed the band, you know. So I'm excited about that because it's finally an opportunity for me to, you know, really show my gifts. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's coming out. I think that comes out in June on WeTV. And I'm also working on my own album that I'm you know, finishing up right now. It's incredible music. It's my life story and everything I went through in relationships from my ex-wife and all the rebuilding process, you know, to now. And all the experiences I had with my ex-girlfriends that I wrote records about that are all also on the album doing interludes about me and what they felt about me regarding to how I felt about them via the record, because I played a record for them first. So it's a real creative, you know, I would say audio visual bio album. It's all about my life. It's all, every lyric is true. You know what I mean? If you want to know my story, you know, when the album comes out, I think people get an opportunity to, you know, see that. And I put some of the best singers in the world already on it. I'm doing it kind of like a Khaled album, how he would do for hip hop or rap. I'm doing it for R&B. You know, I love R&B. Melody is king. So I'm mixing the old classic, you know, R&B artists with the new ones. So yeah, I'm excited about that too. So I all, you know, got some cool things going on. You know, I'm also did some cameos in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. That's out there right now just to do that. But I'm focused more on films. I've auditioned for Tyler Perry 9 times. Yeah, they keep calling. And I tell them my age. He says, Cisco, they keep calling. Just keep going. Every one of those, Beauty in Black, and Medea's this. I've been on. Yes, Cisco has been auditioned for for all of them. You know, I auditioned for Reasonable Doubt 2 days ago with Morris Chestnut.
I love that show. Yeah.
Yeah, they keep calling for me too. Hopefully that plays out. You know, so I put a lot of work into the craft of acting and doing major movies and major films, and that's where I'm at. It's not nothing else beneath that because I've done it already. That's all. It's just life's about escalation, man. I'm just trying to grow. You know what I mean? That's it. And come do cool shit like one-on-one with Carlos King.
There you go. That's when you know you made it. Ah! All right, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.